So, one of my favorite YouTube channels is called
In the
Tulok and Mango,
age of
where
ancient
Tulok plays the
Egypt,
games and Mango
the
edits them.
world was
About 2 years ago,
unfolding,
I discovered this channel doing monostat
shrouded by
runs. I
fog,
don't remember if he was the first, but he was the first
a
I saw.
land of grey
After the bigger
crags,
creators started
arch
doing
trees,
these, he pivoted
and
his channel to
everlasting
the secret
dragons.
starting class. The rules were simple. He would pick an enemy or character from the game, and if you could get
But
their weapon
then
or
there
some
was
form of
fire,
damage that they used, that would be the only
and
way
with
you did
fire
damage. And it was really
came
entertaining
disparity,
despite what some people said. So I thought, is there any way to do this in other Souls
and
games?
cold,
Well, one of his more recent
light
videos is him beating
and
Bloodborne
death,
as Eileen the Crow.
and of
So I would say
course,
yes.
light
Anyway, when I first
and
started playing Dark
dark.
Souls 4 years ago, I started consuming the online media like crazy. That's how I discovered my favorite YouTuber, The Backlogs,
Then from the
and another
dark
of my favorite
they
games, Salt and
came,
Sanctuary. But this video is not about that.
and found the
But
soul's
another one was this
laws
guy
within the
with a
flame.
name you can't pronounce named Yumfa. He has a video where he creates the giant dad build from Dark Souls, an old meme, and I thought its main
He
weapon
took
is the
the
Zweihander
first of the
that you
dead,
get after you defeat the Asylum Demon. So I guess it's time to find out. Can you beat Dark Souls with the
the
giant
witch
dad
of
secret
Izalith.
starting class? My starting class is simple. I choose the Pyromancer for the early Pyroglove. This isn't strictly necessary, but it's useful to have it early. After spawning in, I make my way through the asylum as every playthrough does. I run through the asylum demon arena and make my way towards the Pyroglove. Once I grab the Estus flask from Oscar, I enter the arena and plunge attack the demon. After that, it's a simple strafe around the demon while pelting it with fireballs. After leaving the asylum and being whisked away to Firelink Shrine, I run over to the graveyard and put some points into strength. Within the graveyard, I grab my weapon for the run, the Zweihander. I don't have quite enough strength or dexterity to wield it yet, but I still have the Pyro Glove with Fireball, and some soul farming or poppable souls can fix my strength issue. My first course of action after grabbing my weapon is to head into the Valley of Drakes to get the Grass Crest shield for the build. I make sure to grab all the poppable souls on my way, and after getting the shield and popping the souls, I manage to get my strength and dex high enough to wield the sword. Then I make my way to Andre and backwards through the parish under the Drake Bridge to kick down the ladder at Undead Burg. And I do a quick soul farm to buy 9 Titanite. Shards and get the ability to wield my weapon one-handed. I spend my leftover souls on Titanite shards and upgrade my weapon. Then I start making my way to the Taurus Demon, but not before trying to grab one of the rings I need for the run, that being Havel's Ring, and dying several times. After killing him, I then fight the Taurus Demon, dealing a whopping 700 damage on its health bar, about 70% of it in one go. Once I deal with it, I make my way back to Andre and get a +4 sword. Next up is the Gargoyles, and they're pretty easy. You just dodge around them and, hit them. I managed to kill both at the exact same time, which was quite cool, and I put all the souls into Vitality. After doing so, I make my way towards Blighttown through the back entrance. Once there, I have a few things on my shopping list that's useful for the build. The first is the Pyromancy Power Within, which grants a 40% damage boost, an insane tool that can be used to speed up boss fights. The second is Green Titanite Shards from the slugs by the Great Hollow. These have relatively low drop rate, but they drop in groups of 5, so it doesn't really take too long to get what I need. Okay, unfortunately at this point I need to provide some transparency. I got the idea for this video about a year ago at the time of writing this, when Shadow of the Erd Tree first released, and I've sat on it for a while. The footage was recorded 6 months ago, and to be honest, I didn't check whether I had a completed run or not, and it turns out that no, I don't. I don't have the Quelaag boss fight or the Ceaseless Discharge boss fight or me picking up the Chaos Ember. I, however, don't want to waste the effort I've put into this run or the work I've done scripting and editing it so far. So you could just assume that I did those boss fights with the +5 Zweihander, and I'll just continue from the catacombs when I go to upgrade my sword into a Chaos Zweihander. After killing Quelaag and Ceaseless Discharge, I grabbed the Chaos Ember and headed towards the catacombs. Once there, I head towards Vamos to upgrade my weapon into a Chaos Zweihander. I won't be able to get a maxed out weapon until I make my way to Lost Izalith and do some farming. I also suppose it's a good time to talk about how Chaos scaling works. Rather than scaling with a stat you level up like strength or dexterity, it scales with your humanity, the number next to your health bar. This allows you to put every level point into health and stamina for equip load, allowing you to wear the heaviest armor. After upgrading, and while here, I decide to kill Pinwheel. You have a 33% chance to get the Mask of the Father to complete the dad part of the Giant Dad build, and Pinwheel being Pinwheel dies in like 3 hits. And I get the Mask of the Child. I guess I'll farm the mask later then. Next up is Sen's Fortress, running through the story progression of the game, and it's the standard run through. So at this point, despite not having played Dark Souls in a while, it was easy, just like riding a bike. Once I get to the Iron Golem, I pop Power Within and go to town. With a big weapon like the Zweihander, you can knock down the Golem easy, but due to missing the positioning, he doesn't fall off the side of the fortress. But when knocked over, I'm free to wail on him until he's dead. Once reaching Anor Londo, my armor is so close I can almost taste it. Just a quick run through the rafters, the archers everyone hates, and a quick jump over the railing, and I'm at the giant blacksmith where I can obtain the giant armor. Now is the midpoint in the game, the boss that stops noobs in their tracks, Ornstein and Smough. These two are the first time I really struggle in this run. Not having a fast roll in order to dodge their attacks, and me relying way too heavily on the stagger potential of the Zweihander was a mistake. I get clapped a couple times before I decide to kindle the bonfire a couple of times to get 15 heals instead of 5. This does the trick, and the next time I see Super Smough is the next time I take him down. It just takes a few tries is all. It also helps that I saved Power Within until the second phase to maximize my damage in the harder phase of the fight, where Smough can do significant damage to me even through my armor. But he, like all the rest, falls, because the bigger they are, the harder they fall. With the Lord Vessel obtained, I have 2 choices regarding the direction I can go to complete the build. I can either complete the look by killing Nito first to the dead and obtaining the Mask of the Father, or I can complete the Izalith Gauntlet and do some farming to max out my weapon. For some inexplicable reason, not known to me or man, I decide to farm to max out my weapon first. So it's time for the Izalith Gauntlet. First, the Demon Fire Sage is up, and despite its name, it is in fact not immune to fire. Fucking From Software logic, I guess. Anyway, with Power Within, I'm doing a healthy 800 damage per swing, not even including scaling, which I don't have any humanity, so I'm not scaling my damage at the moment. I do die once, not due to not paying attention to the boss's attacks, but after that it's an easy win. 30 seconds after that boss is the Centipede Demon, and unlike the Fire Sage, this boss is immune to fire damage. Shocking, presumably because of the ring it grew out of. This boss is harder simply due to my lack of damage, however it can't really kill me thanks to my high Estus count and big armor. With that boss dead, I can make my way into the capital of Demon Territory. I'm looking for red Titanite chunks, and there are 2 enemies here that can drop them. The Chaos Eaters and the Sunlight Maggots. Both have abysmally low drop rates though. This farm took about an hour and a half, including the time I decided to fight the Bed of Chaos, which as always kinda sucked, but I needed a quick way to get to the bonfire, which didn't involve sacrificing my humanity each time. I grabbed the covetous gold serpent ring as well for slightly faster farming, and then do the grind. The red Titanite slab that I needed to max out my weapon was also in Lost Izalith, so that's useful as well. With my weapon finally maxed out, I can complete the true giant dad look. I head to the Tomb of the Giants and make my way straight to Nito. It should be noted that the best farm for humanity that isn't in the DLC is here, with the baby skeletons. With the strength of the Zweihänder and the defense of the giant armor, my character is capable of wailing on Nito with reckless abandon due to being able to tank any one of his hits. Thankfully, because Nito doesn't often use back-to-back attacks, he can't pierce through my healing or my armor, and I wail on him any chance I get. Once he's defeated, patches will show up in Firelink Shrine, and we can buy the Mask of the Father, fully completing the giant dad look. Now, I think it's time to clear up the rest of the base game bosses. After the bosses have been cleared, it's time for the DLC. First, I need to kill the Hydra in Darkroot Basin. Not too difficult, just block when they lunge at you, and then heavy attack as they pull back. You can use Great Chaos Fireball to finish off the heads that are well out of the way. Once that's done, the Golden Golem, once finished, and we rescue Dusk of Ulasil. We can summon and speak with her at the basin. With that all taken care of, we enter the Duke's Archive and kill the Crystal Golem before the main library and retrieve the Broken Pendant. Entering the DLC, we first have the Sanctuary Guardian, and he's probably the easiest boss in this entire run. Two-shot Capra Demon being a close second. This boss, which mind you is a DLC boss, so it really should be a difficulty step up, gets staggered in a single hit, and it's not insignificant damage either. My damage at the time is also not fully scaled with my humanity, so I could be pushing even more damage if I so chose. An easy victory. Next up is the Artorias fight, my favourite fight in this entire game, believe it or not, and it's still fun here. While I usually prefer having a light build with quick rolls and damage, having a heavy weapon here doesn't make the fight any less fun. Just two guys in big armor with a great sword swinging at each other until one falls. Although, to be fair, being able to heal has its benefits. Running through Ulasil Township, I make sure to grab the tower key in order to get Goff to shoot down Calamite. Canonically, either the strongest or second strongest dragon in the series. I decide to farm some humanity down in the Abyss in order to max out my damage for Manus before fighting Calamite for some reason. It should make him easier, because I'm not fighting him with the Silver Crest, so the boost to defense should be useful as well. Calamite is, as usual, a tough fight, and for once my big armor doesn't actually do anything against his attacks. Every time I get hit, I'm always relatively close to dying. But some quick rolls and avoiding damage at key moments is all it takes for the greatest of dragons in this age to fall. And lucky last is Manus, Father of the Abyss. Thankfully, there isn't really a challenge here. I simply dodge its attacks and make sure to avoid the combo starter. And because of my high damage, there's never really an issue with his dark magic attacks, so I just bonk him with my sword until he dies. And now it's time for the final boss, Gwyn, Lord of Cinder. And as always, if you know how to parry, this fight is not difficult at all. Using the Hornet Ring, the Grasscrest Shield, and my maxed out damage in terms of scaling, it's an easy victory in order to kill Gwyn in 3 parries. But regardless of that, I'd like to ask you guys, if you made it this far in the video, give us a like and a subscribe. You're at the end, so you probably enjoyed the video. Other than that, I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.